The Gift We Give to Tomorrow, Part 1. How, oh how, did an unloving and mindless universe cough up minds who were capable of love? No mystery in that, you say, it's just a matter of natural selection. But natural selection is cruel, bloody, and bloody stupid. Even when, on the surface of things, biological organisms aren't directly fighting each other, aren't directly tearing at each other with claws, there's still a deeper competition going on between the genes. Genetic information is created when genes increase their relative frequency in the next generation. What matters for genetic fitness is not how many children you have, but that you have more children than others. It is quite possible for a species to evolve to extinction, if the winning genes are playing negative-sum games. How, oh how, could such a process create beings capable of love? No mystery, you say, there is never any mystery in the world. Mystery is a property of questions, not answers. A mother's children share her genes, so the mother loves her children. But sometimes mothers adopt children, and still love them. And mothers love their children for themselves, not for their genes. No mystery, you say, individual organisms are adaptation executors, not fitness maximizers. Evolutionary psychology is not about deliberately maximizing fitness. Through most of human history, we didn't know genes existed. We don't calculate our act's effect on genetic fitness consciously, or even subconsciously. But human beings form friendships even with non-relatives. How, oh how, can it be? No mystery, for hunter-gatherers often play iterated prisoners' dilemmas, the solution to which is reciprocal altruism. Sometimes the most dangerous human in the tribe is not the strongest, the prettiest, or even the smartest, but the one who has the most allies. Yet not all friends are fair-weather friends. We have a concept of true friendship, and some people have sacrificed their life for their friends. Would not such a devotion tend to remove itself from the gene pool? You said it yourself, we have a concept of true friendship and fair-weather friendship. We can tell, or try to tell, the difference between someone who considers us a valuable ally, and someone executing the friendship adaptation. We wouldn't be true friends with someone who we didn't think was a true friend to us, and someone with many true friends is far more formidable than someone with many fair-weather allies. And Mohandas Gandhi, who really did turn the other cheek. Those who try to serve all humanity, whether or not all humanity serves them in turn? That perhaps is a more complicated story. Human beings are not just social animals. We are political animals who argue linguistically about policy in adaptive tribal contexts. Sometimes the formidable human is not the strongest, but the one who can most skillfully argue that their preferred policies match the preferences of others. That doesn't explain Gandhi, or am I missing something? The point is that we have the ability to argue about what should be done. As a proposition, we can make those arguments and respond to those arguments, without which politics could not take place. Okay, but Gandhi believed certain complicated propositions about what should be done? And did them. That sounds like it could explain any possible human behavior. If we traced back the chain of causality through all the arguments, it would involve a moral architecture that had the ability to argue general abstract moral propositions like what should be done to people? Appeal to hardwired intuitions like fairness, a concept of duty, pain aversion plus empathy, something like a preference for simple moral propositions, probably reused from our previous Occam prior, and the end result of all this, plus perhaps mimetic selection effects, was you should not hurt people in full generality. And that gets you Gandhi. Unless you think it was magic, it has to fit into the lawful causal development of the universe somehow. Well, I certainly won't postulate magic, under any name. Good. But come on. Doesn't it seem a little amazing that hundreds of millions of years worth of evolution's death tournament could cough up mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, husbands and wives, steadfast friends and honorable enemies, true altruists and guardians of causes, police officers and loyal defenders, even artists sacrificing themselves for their art, all practicing so many kinds of love? For so many things other than genes? Doing their part to make their world less ugly, something besides a sea of blood and violence and mindless replication? Are you claiming to be surprised by this? If so, question your underlying model, for it has led you to be surprised by the true state of affairs. Since the beginning, not one unusual thing has ever happened. But how is it not surprising? What are you suggesting, that some sort of shadowy figure stood behind the scenes and directed evolution? Hell no. But because if you were suggesting that, I would have to ask how that shadowy figure originally decided that love was a desirable outcome of evolution. I would have to ask where that figure got preferences that included things like love, friendship, loyalty, fairness, honor, romance, and so on. On evolutionary psychology, we can see how that specific outcome came about, how those particular goals rather than others were generated in the first place. You can call it surprising all you like. But when you really do understand evolutionary psychology, you can see how parental love and romance and honor, and even true altruism and moral arguments, bear the specific design signature of natural selection in particular adaptive contexts of the hunter-gatherer savanna. So if there was a shadowy figure, it must itself have evolved, and that obviates the whole point of postulating it. I'm not postulating a shadowy figure. I'm just asking how human beings ended up so nice. Nice. Have you looked at this planet lately? We also bear all those other emotions that evolved, too, which would tell you very well that we evolved, should you begin to doubt it. Humans aren't always nice. We're one hell of a lot nicer than the process that produced us, which lets elephants starve to death when they run out of teeth, and doesn't anesthetize a gazelle even as it lays dying and is of no further importance to evolution one way or the other. It doesn't take much to be nicer than evolution. To have the theoretical capacity to make one single gesture of mercy, to feel a single twinge of empathy, is to be nicer than evolution. How did evolution, which is itself so uncaring, create minds on that qualitatively higher moral level than itself? How did evolution, which is so ugly, end up doing anything so beautiful? Beautiful, you say? Bach's Little Fugue in G minor may be beautiful, but the sound waves, as they travel through the air, are not stamped with tiny tags to specify their beauty. If you wish to find explicitly encoded a measure of the fugue's beauty, you will have to look at a human brain. Nowhere else in the universe will you find it. Not upon the seas or the mountains will you find such judgments written. They are not minds, they cannot think. Perhaps that is so, but still I ask, how did evolution end up doing anything so beautiful, as giving us the ability to admire the beauty of a flower? Can you not see the circularity in your question? If beauty were like some great light in the sky that shined from outside humans, then your question might make sense, though there would still be the question of how humans came to perceive that light. You evolved with a psychology unlike evolution. Evolution has nothing like the intelligence or the precision required to exactly coin its goal system. In coughing up the first true minds, evolution's simple fitness criterion shattered into 1,000 values. You evolved with a psychology that attaches utility to things which evolution does not care about, like human life and happiness. And then you look back and say, how marvelous, that uncaring evolution produced minds that care about sentient life. So your great marvel and wonder, that seems like far too much coincidence, is really no coincidence at all. But then it is still amazing that this particular circular loop happened to loop around such important things as beauty and altruism.